This week we take a closer look at some of the homegrown games on display at this year's AVCon. More than 50 Australian and New Zealand titles were on show in the Indie Games room, so we picked a few favourites and caught up with coordinator Brad Barrett to find out what was going on. This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this week gamers got more than a little bit excited when a stunt actor's resume revealed he'd been working on a little game called Grand Theft Auto 6. Once the original thrill had died down, it didn't take much to reveal that, we're sorry to say, it was all a big hoax. Tim Neff really is a stuntman, and he really has worked on a bunch of stuff, including Ray Donovan, Gotham, and even Christopher Nolan's latest, Dunkirk. But he maintains he has not contributed any time to either GTA 6 or Red Dead Redemption 2, which was also mentioned in the leaked resume. In this case, leaked means faked, with Neff claiming someone is trolling him. In other news, it looks like Nintendo is shaping up for some big end-of-year festivities for the Switch, starting with Rayman Legends Definitive Edition headed that way in September. Enter the Gungeon is also popping onto the new console, even if developer Dodge Roll Games isn't quite sure when it'll make it there. But don't think you have to wait for the good stuff. Splatoon 2 launched earlier this month and, in Japan at least, sold more than 4 times as many copies as the original game in just 3 days. The original Splatoon sold a respectable 156,000 units when it launched for Wii U back in 2015. The sequel, more than 670,000, the biggest debut for a Switch title and the highest selling Switch title to date. In quick news, EA has published an official statement that, despite consumer backlash and criticism, Mass Effect Andromeda was a financial success. The publisher has confirmed that digital net sales reached a new record for the first quarter, and full game PC and console downloads were up 32% on last year. Andromeda reportedly drove these numbers, but it still wasn't enough to push the game into the future, with plans for the game including single-player DLC, expansions and potential sequels allegedly scrapped. In super quick news, in the same investor call, EA also confirmed that a new Battlefield game will be released in 2018, so act surprised. It's not going well for everybody though. After 6 months, sales of Resident Evil 7 reportedly pale in comparison to previous games in the series. The horror game has moved a none too shabby 3.7 million copies worldwide since its January launch, which isn't bad, until you compare it to the more than 5 million each moved by Resident Evils 5 and 6. Of course, Resident Evil 5 is both the biggest selling game in the franchise and Capcom's biggest selling game of all time, but it looks like the latest installment isn't quite the return to form the studio had hoped for. But sticking with Capcom, there is some good news. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is due out in September, and while the game looks solid and the Marvel characters look amazing, these Street Fighters are letting the team down a bit. Okay, I'll spell it out. We're talking about Chun-Li, because she's more than a little weird looking this time around. Happily, the team at Capcom say they are currently making improvements to Chun-Li, as well as other Capcom characters, so hopefully by the time the game's released, she will look better. And if she doesn't, you might just have to play with one of the other characters on the roster. More than 24 have been revealed to date, with Nemesis, Mike Hagar, Frank West, Spider-Man and Gamora among the latest.
You want to take us on? My condolences. Spider cannon! Going somewhere? Around we go! Caught me a big one! See ya! Crawler! Red! Good! Power Stone! Let's go down! Yeah! Oh! And it's out of here! Get out of here! It's Spider-Man! It's Spidey time! Here we go! Uh-oh. Spider sense tingling. You again. Don't you ever get tired of this? Sorry, Norman. You're not my type.
Beta access for Destiny 2 kicks off later this month, and Bungie has thoughtfully released details on what sort of a PC you will need to run it. Basically, if you've got anything better than an Intel Core i3 or an AMD FX 4350, coupled with a GeForce GTX 660 or a Radeon HD 7850, you should be right. Early access starts on August 28, with open beta from August 29, before it all shuts down again on August 31. Check bungie.net for local times. And finally this week, some good news for those of us hanging out for Wolfenstein 2. There are 4 story-based DLC episodes to follow the launch, and each one will let you play as a different character. Series protagonist BJ Blazkowicz is off fighting baddies, so you get the chance to step into the shoes of other freedom fighters around the USA. And if you've forgotten why we are so excited for the upcoming sequel, here's a quick look at the new Colossus.
Anyway, one night, Papa heard something on the police frequency, and he brought me up north to Murphy's Ranch, where we found this flying saucer-like thing that crashed into the ground. And wouldn't you know it, the U.S. motherfucking military swooped in and quarantined off the entire purview. Gave us some kind of bullshit story about a weather balloon. They were lying out of their asses because we made off with some actual hard evidence. Here, take a look at this. Pulled that baby right out of the crash site. Now, does that look like something that came off a weather balloon?
Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, is due from October 27 for PC, Xbox One and PlayStation 4. For more information on any of these stories or to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come.